All right, guys, let a few people join in here. Give it about 5 minutes. Morning, Cheddar. Son, how we doing? How we doing? Bagheera, Natoshi. Good morning. Good morning. Study day. That's right. Let's go. It's gonna be a good one, to be honest. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be interesting to just kind of hang out, talk about a few key things like risk management, emotions, things like that. Just more like trader central things that we all face in these markets and our journey of trading and whatnot. So I'm excited to even learn from everyone. Like I always tell you guys, I've only been trading 2.5 years, so it's like by no means am I some expert or some guru or anything. I learn from each and every one of you guys inside of the chats every day. This game, you never stop learning. So I'm always absorbing from everyone, right? Everyone views charts, emotions, risk management, and stuff differently. And, just like you guys, I'm a student of the game and I love learning from you guys as well. So, yeah, BTC at Big Res here. Give another few minutes here. Oh, shit. I'll announce that we're live. Get some more people rolling. So Taco is going to be joining us as well. He's going to be just a few minutes late. He's got some real life work stuff. But coming up, we also got Groot, we got Mello, and we got Cheddar all joining us today. For those of you who don't know, these are some of the OG members. We've had them up also for like individual live sessions before. They go over their trading, how they view the bots, different strategies they use, things like that. So I'm excited to get everyone up here to kind of just an informal kind of hangout, talk about a lot of the key points, how people view the markets and view different aspects of trading. But for anyone who wants to see their individual live streams too, you can go to the recordings tab in here. We've got all those available. And if anyone needs to duck out or anything early, this will be recorded as well. So give a few more minutes here for people to join. Yeah, despite how strong BTC is, this is still big res. I'm honestly impressed with BTC strength though today, I'm not gonna lie. I unfortunately did not get long Bitcoin yesterday and now I regret it. But I am long Fartcoin, so send that shit to $1. Let's go. Markets though, fuck, like the markets have just been honestly very difficult to read. And the reason they're difficult to read is because half the time technical analysis right now in these markets just goes out the window. It's just straight news driven. Like you got China and USA, the two superpowers of the world, battling it out, tariff war, trade war, and it's like one tweet sends this market in either direction heavily. And so, if you're struggling right now, like you know, don't feel bad, don't be down on yourself, just lower your risk. Understand that there's forces right now in the markets that are literally unreadable. Like you can't know these things are coming ahead of time. So don't be too down on yourself, but it's not the time to be risking. It's not the time to be betting the house. It's not the time to be, stepping outside your comfort zone on things. Just quality over quantity right now. And on the flip side, if you're making money in these markets right now, like hats off. You're killing it. And when things get easier, you're gonna make a lot of money. If you're killing it in this market right now, you're gonna make a lot of money. So yeah, we are at big resistance here. So all right, just give it another minute or two. How you guys doing? How you doing, Cheddar? How you doing, Groot? Mellow? Taco? I see you here now too. I don't know if you're gonna be talking, if you're gonna be just on for now, but how you guys doing? How you guys finding the market? I think you guys should. Why don't you talk? I just want to see if um, mics are
You,
working. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. 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 Don't have permissions. Let me see. Let me see. Native, are you able to give Taco permissions? I don't know what to click. He's definitely more techie than me. Cheddar as well.
I'm not sure if my mic is working.
you're good, Groot. We can hear you. Or at least I can.
Yeah, I can hear Mellow, can hear Groot.
Keyboard is being a little awkward right now, but yeah, I definitely it's a no trade zone for me. As I said, I need to see it close.
Can hear you, Groot, but it's kind of quiet. I don't know if you're a little bit away from your mic right now.
Sorry, but is it better now?
A little bit, yeah.
It's just like this is still a no trade zone for me. I'm not gonna FOMO in, personally.
Yeah. No, it's a big resistance here. And if we flip it, you're gonna have plenty of time to position, but right here is not the time to be longing. If anything, directionally, you probably want to look for shorts here if you're looking for anything, unless we flip, but it's a big level.
Here's what I'm doing. Wait, I'm looking at other charts to the right on my other screen, and they're reacting. They're going down. So as Bitcoin was moving up, I was looking at Popcat, and I started diving down. But now I gotta. Wow, fun just did. That's insane. I got long on fun earlier today. Um, it just went up 10%, and I'm not positioned. Ugh.
I don't know why I'm so bad with figuring out technical things with Discord, but I swear to God, it's like the hardest thing ever.
Article. I personally wouldn't short either. I would wait and see how we close before our block, but it's a little late to short now. We still got 2 hours.
Still just trying to sort out here, guys, how to get our other two speakers permissions. So just bear with us. If you guys have any questions, that you want to speak about or topics, feel free to just shoot them in the chat right now while we try to sort this out. Usually we have Talisman here, and he's really good at sorting that out. I am not.
I honestly don't see it getting past 84,765. And if it does and it closes over that, it's gonna probably catch some good longs later. Wow. Strong. Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. We got you.
Dude, check out Puffer on the 4-hour.
Okay, 1 sec. I got to get
Oh
these
my!
permissions
This is a
shorted.
beautiful chart.
All right, we got talisman on the way here. Coming to save the day. All right, taco cheddar, you should be good in a sec here. I'll let you know.
Wow. It's always you want to look at the memes. If the memes start going crazy, Bitcoin's gonna start making some crazy moves next. Like, wow, this looks good.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen like extreme meme strength too, like across all the memes. It's actually kind of nice to see.
Puffer is something I'm definitely going to look at. Wow.
All right, another few seconds here, and Talisman will have them sorted out, and we'll be good to go, guys.
Hi guys, sorry for the inconvenience. I'm just fixing it. It will take just a minute.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Always something technical with Discord, always.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, everybody was trying to short fart coin, like the strongest freaking coin.
Yeah, shorting fart coin's a dangerous endeavor.
Wow,
It's up like 4x off the lows, like the low.
dude.
Lows.
I want to like honestly, I was gonna cry yesterday because 10 minutes before New York Open, I was up for 36 hours waiting for all of my plays to hit. None of them did, and I just shut everything off and took the day off. And then everything hit Pico that I would have had limits for it, and I didn't trade.
That's painful.
And now we're in like a no trade zone for me. Well, now I mean,
All right, taco cheddar. Can you try talking now? I think you're naturally just muted on your end there. If you unmute, you should be able to talk, I think. Negative. Still suppressed. Maybe exit and come back in and try.
that's fucking.
Yo. Oh, sweet. I think it works.
Yo, okay, sweet. So cheddar, maybe just leave and come back in and it should work, I think. And then we can get this fired up, you guys. Oh yeah, I see your voice bubble there. How you doing, Cheddar?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. All right, cool. So we got everyone sorted here. think Cyprus should be good to go any second here. So yeah, let's fire it up. 15 minutes in now. Got the technical difficulties sorted. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, we have Cheddar, Taco, Groot, and Mellow. Like I was saying before, these are some of the most OG traders inside of here. They've been supporting us, riding with us, trading the bots from, some of the earliest versions up until now. They're involved with like the AI bot and everything. So, these are some of our most loyal members. And these are some of the members too who have taken these bots and developed their own strategies that, they make money every single day inside of these markets with. We've done separate live streams with them. Like I said, you guys can see all those in the recordings. And so today, I just want to have like a trader roundtable where, we're not even busting out charts or live streams or anything. I just kind of want to talk about like some of the main key points that I think a lot of people always have questions on, and just some of the main topics to do with trading. So like risk management, execution, things like handling emotions. And then we'll also talk about, how WoodsBot tools and bots have helped them in their journey. But yeah, I just want to kind of have like an open discussion on all of these different things. So yeah, maybe if you guys just like, just do like a quick 1-minute intro of like who you are, how long you've been here and whatnot. Just for anyone who doesn't know.
All right, here, I'll start it off. Hey guys, I'm Mellow. I've been with WoodsBot since I think early 2024, like January, February, I want to say. I use the bots here every day. I mean, I work a full-time job. My career, so that takes a lot of time out of my day. So the bots have been really awesome in finding opportunities without having to stare at charts all day, although some days I do end up doing that anyways. But outside of that, I'm just here to learn and to help everyone else learn along the way.
Beautiful. Groot, what do you got?
Groot, probably the most annoying member in this chat. But yeah, I have been doing this for about 7 years. Been at WoodsBot probably the same as Mellow, maybe a year-ish. Not too sure, but I've been trading under Woods for a couple of years, I think. So I got like a decent grasp on the market, and the bots have taught me how to kind of gauge the trend, and that's where I used to struggle a lot with. So I do well with that, especially catching really good shorts. Now, if I could just do it on the long side, it'd be nice.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Cheddar, how about you?
Cheddar here. I've been in this group. I went back and checked actually, November 2023.
Oh wow.
And yeah, been
Yeah.
a while. Yeah, and I use WoodsBot every day to help me trade, and I continue to grow and learn every day I'm here, and hopefully I can do the same for others. And
Yeah,
that's
love
really
it.
about it.
Yeah, you're super OG. That's crazy.
Yeah, I went back. I was like, how long has it been actually? So I went back and looked, and it was like November 2023. I was like, wow, you guys are like some of my longest relationships ever.
That's funny. Taco, how about you, bro? Are you here right now? Or are you still doing the
No,
work?
I'm here. I'm good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Name's Taco. I've been trading super part-time since like 2020. I started out with Wealth Group, and then Woods' style really made sense to me. So then I eventually ended up here. I don't know how long when I joined the Discord, but I actually started taking it pretty seriously. Probably in November, December last year. And yeah, it's just tremendously helped me cut down research time, just because I was like, I would see a setup, but it's just like I don't even know when to get in and everything, just because I was trying to scan all of the coins and everything. So it cuts down research time drastically. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and so I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Dilio. I've been trading, I'd say about 2.5 years now. I started my journey in Wealth Group. That's where I met Woods and kind of mentored under Woods for quite a while. and just became really close, became like really good friends with him in real life and whatnot. And, you know, we started developing WoodsBot. Actually, I don't even know. It's probably about a year and a half ago now. Used to just be Woods' educational Discord, and we kind of flipped it. Me, him, Dal. There's been a lot of other members included as well. Native, he builds all the bots for us, every single bot you see. And yeah, we turned it into WoodsBot. It's been about, I think, a year and a half now. So, you know, and as traders, we developed tools that we thought for traders would be extremely helpful in terms of cutting down the amount of time it takes to find trades, you know, finding additional confluences across all of your trades and all of the different styles as well. So, you know, we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go, and we got a lot in the works for you guys. But yeah, it's a little bit about me. So I think we'll start it off. Probably, yeah, I'd say arguably the most important topic when it comes to trading would definitely be risk management. And I think it's like probably one of the topics that we get the most questions on across the board. So I guess like we can just start by going over kind of each of our own personal risk management, and like I guess just anything you've learned with risk management, because majority of people in trading across the board have to learn the hard way with risk management. Kind of just the nature of the game. It's very rare you see someone come in and just absolutely respect risk management from the jump and not experience the downturns of not respecting that. But I mean, even for myself, when when I first came into crypto, I joined at the top of last cycle and invested just a shit ton of money at the top. I didn't even know what a stop loss was. I didn't even know how to read a chart. Like just the epitome of no risk management whatsoever. And I paid the price, right? Like every single thing I bought went down 95, 99% by the time I sold. So I had to learn the hard way in terms of risk management. And that's when I decided to come into trading and do this the right way and figure out how it actually works. And even then, you know, it took me a long time to realize that risking a small percent of your portfolio, especially as you're learning, is the only way you're going to survive in this game. So I'm talking like risking, like, especially if you're starting like 0.5 to 1%, because when you're starting out trading, it's not about making money. It's just not. If that's your focus, you're going to get wrecked, because you're going to focus on P&L. You're going to focus on all of the wrong things, and you're not going to focus on execution, you know, understanding what went right, what went wrong. And so learning risk management is the number one tool, and any trader in this game will tell you that you have to understand and you have to follow, otherwise you're not going to last. And so for me, even nowadays when I trade, my risk management, you know, I don't risk more than 5% on a single trade. And when I'm risking up to 5%, it's more so on something with high conviction and like an A+ setup to me, or Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? Like the higher cap coins. If I'm playing anything that is, you know, super volatile or lower market cap, I'm only risking, you know, maybe 2 or 3%. And then for myself, if I'm doing anything that's, you know, a new strategy that I actually am not proficient in and I don't have enough data in to have confidence, I'm only ever risking like 1%. Again, the point is not to make money if you're doing something like starting a new strategy. It's to figure it out. It's to build data. And if you're risking 5% on something like that, you're going to lose a shit ton of money flat out. Like, you're going to fucking blow your account. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You cannot, especially in markets like right now, be risking 5-10% on a trade. Like literally, even if, you know, you are experienced, like you're going to blow your account real quick. And so risk management is just by far the number one thing that you have to understand, and not even understand, but follow on a day-to-day basis. So, and risk is dynamic, you know. If you have an A+ setup, you can risk more. If you're uncertain, you risk a little less. But general risk management rules that I think everyone should follow is like, if you're new, do not risk more than 1% or 0.5%. Again, it's not about the money, it's about the experience and the data. And, you know, it's something that, unfortunately, even if you do understand what I'm saying, you will have to learn the hard way. But just, you can't blow yourself up. You can't blow your account. You can take losses, and everyone will. Trust me, you'll take bigger losses than you intended to, 10, 15, 20% of your port throughout your journey. And it fucking sucks. It fucking hurts, like, not gonna lie. but it is part of the journey, and risk management is the number one thing that you guys need to understand. So that's like a little bit about how I focus on my individual risk management, but curious to hear how you guys approach it as well, and like, you know, anything you've learned in terms of risk management.
I'd say the biggest thing is having a day where you lose money and then coming in the next day thinking you have to make that money back. And that's just not realistic. You have to look at every day like it's a brand new day and not over risk, because when you start over risking trying to regain those losses, you're going to lose more money because you're trying to make that money fast. And if you're trying to make money fast in this game, you're going to lose a lot of money fast.
Yeah, 100%. And I find too, when you try to make that money fast and then you lose it, you try again to make it back even faster, and it's just a downward spiral from there.
If this was me 5 years ago, I'd just be going crazy. Now I'm just chilling.
Yeah, I hear you guys. I normally keep, like, in these conditions, I haven't been risking more than 2% on plays. Usually I can't really, I'm one of those people who can't go more than like 5% total risk on my portfolio, or I start thinking too much. So I usually keep within that 5%, but right now, 1% per trade, staying away from low volume coins. If I go to like Bitcoin or Ethereum, I really stay away from Ethereum, to be honest, or Solana, let's say I'll go 2%. But outside of that, really, I don't go beyond that. I've lost way too much money not knowing risk management in the past, to your point, Bill. So I just try to avoid the same mistakes I've made in the past.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I learned especially with risk management is, even I tried to convince myself that, oh, you know, I'm on 2-3x leverage, but I was obviously on like a lower cap coin, and even those got liquidated on just some massive cascade downward, just because I was like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna swing this, so just low leverage is fine, but then it just, everything collapses. And even it depends on what exchange you are to see how liquid they are. It could even wick down there and just liquidate you. So I think one of the biggest things that I learned, and if I could go back and do it again, is I started to see success early on when I started trading, probably because of calls in Wealth Group a little bit. And then, of course, it was in easy mode back then because you could long anything and you'd go up like 10, 15, 20% in like a few minutes. So I thought I was untouchable. I stopped running my business, hired people to run my business. And then I was like, I'm just going to make all my cash flow from trading. And then blow after blow after blow. It's just, once the money starts depleting, you slowly play games with your own mind. Eventually, because now you can see your bank account going down and it's not replenishing because you're losing, and then you're also paying the person you just hired. Now you're trading super emotionally because you're like, well, if I don't make any money, then I have to go back to my job or my biz, which is okay. So don't leave your job. And you know, everyone on crypto Twitter is like, oh, F your 9 to 5 and entrepreneurship, and I'm the best trader on the fucking planet. But it's always good to have cash flow because it can calm your nerves. That way you're not trading to put food on the table, as opposed to, you know, trading to increase your portfolio, and maybe increase your Bitcoin holdings, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think, like, just real quick, that is essentially the point of risk management, is so that you do not trade emotionally. If you are risking 5 to 10% of your portfolio, you have so much at stake and on the line that you will interfere with a trade based on emotions rather than TA or the setup. And 9 times out of 10, it'll be the wrong decision and you'll fucking regret it. And then you'll hop back in or yada, yada. And that is the point of trading with risk management. You should be absolutely at peace with losing 1% on a trade setup that you have. You should not care if it goes to your stop. You should accept that 1% is basically gone when you take the trade. And that's something I learned from some of the top traders in Wealth Group in terms of like, when you take a trade, you should not be thinking about how much money you can make. You should be thinking about how much money you're going to lose if that stop hits. That way you're managing your risk. And when you do end up making money, if you end up making money on that trade, it's not the focus, and it's more so just like a bonus that comes after, but you're more focused on what you can lose and what you're going to lose on that trade. And when you do that, you only are going to risk an amount that you're okay losing. And so to his point, to Taco's point, like trading with risk management is all about handling your emotions. It's like if you're risking 1%, you should be absolutely fine if it goes to your stop and you're not going to interfere. If that same trade is like 10%, you're going to interfere with that trade 9 times out of 10. It's going to be a terrible decision and you're going to lose money. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I feel like the trading in general should be looked at like a video game almost, opposed to like you trying to make money, because then you can actually focus on strategizing and coming up with a system that works, and it becomes a numbers game more than it becomes about money. That's at least when I found success, is when I stopped thinking about the dollar amount and it all just was more like I treat it like RuneScape. You slowly just chop away at a skill until you get really good at it, and then at that point things start compounding. But until you get to that point, it's all luck. And we have to be aware enough to realize that as well.
Yeah, I love that viewpoint, looking at it like a video game, especially for those who play video games. Like if you can formulate your mindset around that, like, it's actually pretty powerful.
That's what my
What about you, Cheddar? I'm curious to hear like your experience with risk management. If you've ever like, I'm sure just like everyone else, you've learned the hard way through some experiences and kind of like how you approach it.
Yeah, I definitely have. I used to be one of those people that didn't use a stop loss until I got liquidated. And I vowed very quickly that was the last time I was ever going to be liquidated. So from then on, I use just never more than 10x. Well, sometimes 20, but I'm very conservative with leverage as far as a lot of the P&L cards you'll see out there. And I never have more than 1% at risk at any time. If I have 2 trades open, well, that's 0.5 each. I just keep it very conservative that way, because getting liquidated doesn't feel good at all. And you think that's not going to happen to you, and it does. It happens to everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have very strict risk management. You definitely respect that. And like you, among other traders, I think focused like heavily on risk to reward. And that's something that, like, again, every trader is completely different. Like I literally do not even look at risk to reward when I trade. And Cheddar's entire system is based around risk to reward. And so maybe you can just speak on like risk to reward, because that's one of the aspects of risk management, I think, that would be interesting to touch on.
Okay. Well, I've been pretty open about the fact that my win rate is not the highest out there. 50% probably on average. And the way I make it work is through risk management. I take trades at a minimum of 3-to-1 R. So even if I lose 3 in a row, that 4th trade will get me break even if I pull it off. But I do look for those higher risk rewards, because a lot of times, with my win rate, it's just not worth it. Like there could be a move there, but if I'm only, going to get 1.6 R out of a quick scalp, that's maybe not worth it to me. So that was a big struggle for me, learning to sit on my hands. I see these, these small moves that are going to happen, but if the risk to reward isn't there, that's not my trade. And that was a lesson I needed to learn, because I wanted to jump in everything just for ego more than anything. I have 50 million P&L cards. Look at me. I'm in and out. And I just couldn't sustain it. My trades weren't as high quality as they are now that I'm trading less and just focusing on, 2 trades at a time instead of 4 or 5. For me, that was a big key. I just had to be more selective and it's really worked out well. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's an important point too, is like when people, because oftentimes you see people saying, oh, I'll risk 2 to 3% per trade, or this trade I have a bit more conviction, I'll risk 4%. But then they're in 2 or 3 trades. And, you know, there's no difference if you're in 2 or 3 trades where you're risking 3% per trade and now your entire risk is 9%. So it's like, it's something important for people to understand, even how Cheddar's saying she'll risk 1% of her portfolio at any given time. That means if she's in 2 trades, each of those trades only risks 0.5%. If she's in 3, it only risks 0.33%. So the combined trades that she's in only risk 1%. And so even if it's the same for me, essentially, if I'm wanting to only risk 5% of my portfolio and say I'm in Bitcoin and some other coin, maybe I'll risk like 3.5% on Bitcoin and then 1.5% on the other coin. So my total risk is only 5%. So just because you hear some traders say they risk 2 to 3% per trade, that doesn't mean they do it on every single trade. It's still important to have like a total accumulated risk that you're willing to go in with, which I suggest not doing any more than 5, unless you're hedged in both directions somehow. But if you're directionally risking upwards of 5 to 10%, then it's, you know, your risk management is off, and over the long haul, you're going to get hit hard. So
Yeah, that was happening to me prior to putting some stricter rules in. It's because you enter and you're like, oh, I'm risking 1% here and I'm risking 1% here. And then the next thing you know, you're in 5 trades and a cascade happens.
yeah,
And you're not even getting out. You know, your stop loss, that's where it's triggering, but you're really getting out another 3% below that. And it eats you alive.
yeah, 100%. It's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling.
That's why we have rules here.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to, like, if you guys don't have rules too and you're somewhat newer, it's like, you know, all of us have developed our own individual rules, and it's like, you know, more than willing to share all these rules that we each have for ourselves in gold, or like how we approach it. Like even Taco and Mello just shared some good stuff in there in terms of risk management. So like anyone you see with a red name, for people who are somewhat new or just in gold, these are bot experts. It's a role that we have in here. So these people are willing to help, you know, with charts, with setups, any questions you have, myself included. Feel free to tag me, anyone, anytime. I'm here 24/7. So, but yeah, I think that's a good conversation on risk management. Does anyone watching have any questions, like any specific questions on risk management? If you do, just shoot them in the chat here and we can go over them. No? Okay, cool. Yeah, I think like risk management also just leads directly into like emotions. See what Sauce has here. If he's got a question first. Because like I was saying, the main point of having, is it ideal to use the liquidation? No, absolutely not. Like the whole point is to never be in a position where you're ever close to being liquidated. So what, like, you really only ever want to use, you only ever want to use enough margin on your trade that you will lose 1% of your entire trading portfolio. So say, for ease of numbers, if your trading portfolio is $100, if you lose the trade that you enter, you will only lose $1. So it's important to understand that, you know, the way that you position and the way that you open a trade with the specific margin and leverage that you're using, calculated with your stop loss, will only ever lose you 1 or 2%. So let me find, we have a great video somewhere in here on risk management and how to position size. So I'm going to send that in here, and I want you to watch that, Sauce. Give me a sec here, guys. I believe this is a video that Dow made, and it's a great video that will explain the tools inside of TradingView that you can use in order to position super easily. with the appropriate risk. Let me find it.
Are you looking for the YouTube video?
Yeah, do you have that?
I can look for it as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you
Definitely a
can.
must watch.
Yeah, it's really good. And like, these are questions that, a lot of people have. So also like, I thought the same thing. It's like, I didn't know how it worked. So like, don't feel bad that you're doing it the incorrect way or anything. Like this is what this is for. So once Mello finds that, definitely please watch that. And then any questions you have before entering any positions, like we can help you out with, how much margin to use, what your port is, how much to risk, things like that. So yeah, there's the video there. Definitely watch that. No problem. Liquidation is like the number one thing you want to avoid inside of trading. It's like your worst enemy. Should never be at risk of losing your entire portfolio. But yeah, what I was saying too is, if anyone doesn't have any other questions, the whole point of risk management, like I said, is to avoid making emotional decisions and avoid letting your emotions dictate the way that you move in the markets. And so, emotions, with all of us being humans, are literally unavoidable, even for the top traders. But that is why, as you go, you build systems and you build rules so that you can avoid letting your emotions get the better of you. And every single person inside of this Discord that you see will have different emotions and different reactions to specific situations. That's why it's important for every single person to, journal the way that you feel, not even just the way that a trade played out technically, but, did you FOMO into that trade in the first place without following your actual strategy? Did you make a decision by moving your stops out of fear of losing the potential P&L that you had? Or did you close it out because you've seen a P&L number that was good, but the trade, ended up playing out exactly how you had planned, right? Then you're using probably too much size and your emotions are getting in the way. But the main emotions inside of trading are fear, FOMO, greed. What is it? Fear, FOMO, greed, and no, there's another one. I don't know why I can't think of it. Fear, FOMO, greed. Oh, euphoria. Right. So there's two ends of the spectrum. Like there's fear in terms of like, fear often comes from, using too much size or taking a number of losses in a row. Your confidence is down. You don't trust in your setups anymore. You think that, the market's against you. But on the other spectrum of that is euphoria, right? You win 5 trades in a row. You think, again, you're untouchable at this point. You start sizing up. You give back all those gains because you've misstepped and you sized up thinking that, you're smarter than the market. So then there's FOMO, in this industry especially. You see P&Ls and you see numbers that are unfathomable, and it seems like everyone's catching every bottom and every top. And, it's hard to not want to FOMO. Like I've been trading for 2.5 years. I still get FOMO. I still misstep and enter into shit that I know I shouldn't have. And as soon as I entered, I'm like, the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm human. I make mistakes and I always will make mistakes, but it's important to understand your individual self when it comes to the emotions that you experience with trading, because every single person will be different. So, I mean, for me, trying to think of like what the emotion that I struggle with the most is. Honestly, for me, I think it's probably fear. Even though I know I have a strategy and I know I have a system, this market and the conditions still shake my belief in executing those. And so, I can doubt myself. I can end up missing a play that would have played out because I'm not executing it, because I get into my own mind and, I start to think that, okay, well, what if this tweet comes out or blah, blah, blah. And it's good to be cautious, especially in times like this. So it's not necessarily a full blown negative thing, but for me personally, it's probably that. And then, if you take, especially in a market like this, 2-3 losses in a row, your confidence goes down, and then you become fearful of entering another trade because you've just lost the last 2 or 3. So you're like, okay, well, my system's broken, or the shit isn't working anymore, or whatever it may be, right? And so, the number one way to overcome basically every single emotion, on just a side note, is to size down. So even for me, if I've lost 2 or 3, or I've just gotten blown out because of some stupid news tweet or whatever, and now I'm fearful to enter another trade, the way that I'm going to combat that is to just size down. It's the answer to everything. If you're euphoric in this market, size down. If you have FOMO and you just want to enter some, size down. If you have fear for entering into another trade because things aren't working out, size down. Like, sizing down is the answer to everything, in terms of when it comes to emotions, because what happens when you size down, you lose the emotional attachment. You're not seen as big of a P&L. You're not seeing the swings in the market that are making you feel a type of way every single 1 minute candle. You can let your trades play out, whether it's any one of the emotions that you're feeling. So for me, I'd say that's probably the top emotion that I feel currently in the markets. But yeah, curious your guys' take on emotions, kind of like what emotion you feel the most just currently in this market, or have learned from in the past, kind of like what it taught you, I guess, just anything on emotions, really.
I'm on the same boat as you personally with fear. Like, you guys saw it in the gold chat this week for me, where I had great setups, but I didn't trust myself, right? Because of all the tariff news left and right. And it's just the fear of making the wrong decision just kept me from actually making all the right decisions. But on top of that, I think it's so important to have some sort of practice in your day-to-day life, to keep like a mindfulness exercise of some sort, whether you work out or meditate or whatever it is for you. I know we're all different, but I think it's really valuable, especially if you're an emotional person in real life. If you find yourself getting sad, angry, whatever, over the smallest things, it's so important, because that's going to translate right over to the market.
Yeah, I love that. Because like, sizing down is obviously a key to handling your emotions, but at the end of the day, being healthy, being fit, being well rested, not dealing with personal issues in terms of whether it's your relationship or family or finances or business that are affecting your mindset, is the number one thing for sure, to like actually not being emotional when you trade. So whether that's meditating, or working out, or going for a walk, or journaling, or just shutting down your screens and playing with your pets, whatever it is, right? Having something like that is critical, because if you sit here and you take 3 losses and you stare at your screen and you watch charts and you let your emotions charge up and you make stupid decisions and you continue to do it over and over and over, it's like you're going to fucking spiral, and it happens to everyone, and you'll catch yourself doing it, and you'll lose so much more money than you ever intended to, as opposed to having something to reset your mind, and just having a clear mind in general. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that too, our biggest asset and our biggest liability for each individual is our self-awareness or lack thereof. And by having a practice of any sort in place, it's like you know how to react to your own emotions. And until you can identify your own emotions, you're going to make some foolish mistakes. We all do it,
Yeah, 100%. And that goes back to the point of just understanding and mapping out how your individual emotions affect your own trading and your own day-to-day life. Because if working out works for me, it might not work for you. If going for a walk or journaling works for you, it might not work for me. And so like, it's important to understand yourself. Trading is a personal journey. Like 100% it is a personal journey. You will learn more about yourself through trading than a lot of things.
And it's a very, very lonely journey, and nobody in the real world will ever understand. You're gonna get these feelings and emotions that you can't explain.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So,
I like that.
As he was saying, if you're risking too much on a trade to where you're worried about it and you're pressing the close button, then re-enter and then close, and we've all done it. Shit, I used to, and it chopped me up. Right now, the reason I'm not trading is because I don't have any confidence in where it's going to go yet. So I'm not going to risk anything. Losing even just 1% a ton of times, that chops you up and it takes away a lot of money. You don't realize it, but over the span of months, years, adds up. And right at the start of the stream, I was talking about Puffer. It's already down 5%. That's crazy.
You know, one thing that you said, Groot, in the past that really stuck out to me. Groot's a fighter in real life, right? And Groot had said that he's been training and fighting for what, a couple decades now? And even with that kind of view of life, he still thinks trading is one of the hardest things he's done when it comes to facing himself. And that, I mean, that speaks volumes.
I'll be completely honest. It's the only thing in this world that's ever broken me. I fight, well, sorry, I fought professionally. I still compete. I've been doing it since 2005 before anybody even knew what it really was. They thought it was like chicken fighting, something crazy. It's a sport. I fought for titles. I've played every sport and done almost everything that is as that could challenge me as possible. And this is the only thing in this world that has actually broken me. I think I gave up like 8 times. And then one day I'm just like, I need to figure this shit out. So I just came back in here, started really studying. And I don't think people study in lab enough. And I'm always saying I'm labbing and I'm charting. Because I don't want to lose anything. And if you're risking more than 3-4%, that's a lot to lose in a trade. And as you were saying earlier, if you have 3 or 4 trades open, that's not just 3%, 4%.
Yeah, that shit compounds quick. You know, if you lose 10%, it's a significant portion. You can only do that 10 times in a row, and then you're fully out of money. And like, I don't have the exact numbers, but like, if you lose 50% of your portfolio, you have to make 100% of your portfolio back to be at break even. Now, those numbers get absolutely fucked because if you lose 50% of your portfolio and you're going to stick to proper risk management, which you need to do, or you'll lose the other 50%, you're now risking such a smaller amount than you originally were that it's going to take exponentially longer to get back to just break even following proper risk management. And people don't really realize this, but like, yeah, you lose 50% of your portfolio. You don't have to make 50% back. You have to 100% your portfolio just to be back at break even. And the lower you go, the more exponential it gets. And like, you really dig yourself into trouble. And if you don't have an understanding of your emotions, like one of the most common ways that you'll spiral out of control is revenge trading. So say you take a trade and you lose 2 trades and you've got 5% on each, and you're down 10% on the day, and you just cannot stomach knowing the fact that you're down 10% on the day. So you try to take some more trades in, say, a volatile market to make it back, to like fill that fucking pain you feel of the 10%. But you're not following your proper risk management. You're trying to make that money back. So you're going to risk 5% because you're like, in your mind, okay, well, what if this goes 5%? Then I'll only be down 5% on the day, blah, blah, blah. And you end up, now you're down 15%, and you chase and you chase. And then you kind of lose yourself. Like, you go into this kind of emotional state where with leverage, you're just not aware of what you're doing. And we've all been there. And you kind of come out of it at the end, and it's almost like you don't even know what just happened. You're just gutted, and you feel fucking weird, and you're like almost shaking, and you're like, what just happened? I just lost like 25% of my port. And you can easily fall into that trap, especially with leverage. And so you need to like use proper risk management to start. And slowly build your understanding of your emotions before you end up doing, really stupid shit like that.
Can I add when you said size down?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you have a bad day, you come into the next day and you want to make up for what you lost, so you size up. And that's when I said you lose more money faster by trying to make fast money.
Yeah.
So just if you're having a bad day, either size down or just stop trading. You'll see me take just complete days off, weeks off, whatever. It's for a reason. This thing is 24/7, 365. There should never be FOMO. There should never be FUD because you could always long, you could always short. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is a 24/7 market. This isn't traditional markets. Like, this is open 24/7. There's always something moving. There's a lot of volatility in crypto. And so, being able to have the discipline to step off and come back, the next day or in a few hours or after a workout is like paramount to your success in the long run. But curious to Taco and Cheddar, like what you guys think about emotions and like the biggest emotions you're currently struggling with or like have struggled with in the past and learned from.
Well, for me, confidence obviously plays a part, because I don't trade the same way a lot of the traders in this group do, and so it's harder for me to share ideas and perhaps follow along. So that kind of plays into the confidence aspect. But I guess one thing that nobody else has really mentioned is I am so greedy. I really am.
100%.
And so that's why I have played with such strict risk to reward. I work out all my trades and play, really strict risk management because I want to take trades. I see my ideas. I want to jump in there. I want them to all go to the moon, and I need to control that somehow. So bringing it back to risk management and just picking the right trades because I'm greedy. I really am.
Yep. I love that. And like with greed, oh my God, you'll see your portfolio go up so many times and just it could be at 4.5% and you're targeting that 5% TP. And you'll be looking at it and you're like, should I just take it? We're losing momentum, but you won't do it. Or whatever sort of situation, right? And you'll round trip so many gains in this market that are given to you. And we've all done it. And like, I like this. This is why I think this is so important, is because this is open, this is transparent, this is fucking real trading. Like, people that you see on crypto Twitter and you see all this shit, like, oh, a perfect execution every single time, blah, blah, blah. No, that isn't how trading works. Like, greed, fear, all of this shit are real human emotions that majority of people are too afraid to even admit that they have. So I do applaud all of you for coming up and sharing, the parts that are more vulnerable about trading, like being greedy or being fearful, because this is very helpful for everyone, myself included, to hear as well. So like, being greedy will kill your portfolio just as much as being fearful. Like, the market will give you so many opportunities, and if you're not taking home profit all of the time and learning how to actually take home proper profits, you're going to round trip so much, and you'll round trip into losses and you'll regret that. And then your confidence, like you're speaking of, will also go down drastically from that. And like that hurts.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than giving back profits.
Yeah, the regret you have when you know that it was there and you didn't take it and it just goes back, like
I'd rather just be wrong and get stopped out right off the bat than watch it come within 13 cents of my TP and then go back down.
Yeah, 100%. It's a long journey back down watching that P&L.
Yeah.
What about you,
I think if you
Taco?
have a game plan with it. Oh, sorry.
I think one of the toughest things for me is just because I can't stand taking a loss because and I realized after like really trying to dive into why I feel this, like if I took 2 losses in a day, like my whole day before was like ruined. Like I'm moody. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I'm pissed off. It's like I don't want to do any other work. I don't even want to go to the gym. Like, so you everyone's journey is individual. So for me, like, I'll take profits earlier. I'll move stops to break even earlier and I'm still working on it because it's a work in progress to get more, to let trades run longer. So I'm almost like the opposite. So I'm so fearful that I'll take profits earlier and move stops to break even earlier, just because of my competitive background. Because in this environment, you can't just will yourself and try harder or do more reps, with your own money, right? So for example, I grew up playing college tennis, and it's just like, if you miss your shot, you can just keep going and, just drill yourself to the ground and like a drill sergeant until you get it, right? But for here, you have to just accept the loss. You can't just be like, I need to go do this again. I need to just keep going at it. Because for me, like, I'm literally the guy who plays like recreational sports, and I'm like, I'm not having fun unless I'm winning. So it's like, it really messed with my mind, especially getting into this, because I had to train myself to be like, it's okay to lose. And even what I wrote up a little earlier before was like, I needed to convince myself that a stop loss is not a loss. It's really just a stop to just protect you. I'll just read it. Just like a stoplight at a traffic intersection. Does that mean you're going to stop the journey to your destination? No, it just means it stopped to protect you. So I had to really wrap my head around that, because I hated taking losses, so much to the point where it would throw my whole week of trading off, because now I lost confidence. I'm just pissed off, and everything's ruined. But it's okay to take those stops, as opposed to just blowing your account completely.
Yeah, I love that analogy, to be honest. That's really, really well said. And that, again, just comes back to risk management. If you're risking 1%, then you can live in that analogy and understand that, like, okay, the setup was wrong maybe. So that stoplight that is just stopping you and protecting you is doing exactly that. But that doesn't mean that everything's destroyed. Now, if you're risking 5 to 10%, yeah, sure, you probably feel like you got hit by a fucking bus at that stoplight and it's, game over. But that's why, again, it comes down to just risking small amounts, so that, like, you can actually live in that analogy, that knowing that, like, it was just protecting me from a deeper stop and losing more money, and it was wrong, but we can keep going to the next stoplight. Like,
I have some statistics somewhere. I'll send it in the chat when I find it. That basically goes over your win rate and your probability of going on a losing streak, and how long how that losing streak could look. I don't remember the numbers properly, but I think, like, even if you have like a 30 or 40% win rate, the odds of you losing 10 trades in a row is it's pretty high for what it is. So if you're risking 1%, you would be able to, survive a streak like that. But if you're risking 5 to 10%, you're going to be out of money by the time you're coming out of that slump. So that's something always, that you must take into consideration. It is all a numbers game after all.
yeah, I love that. I love that. Do we have, does anyone from who's watching have any questions on emotions, emotional management, things like that? Literally anything at all. It doesn't matter. Risk management, emotions, just let us know. Yeah, I think that's a great question. So Panda said, we talked about sizing down. How do you handle sizing up when the time is right? So for me personally, I have two different modes of trading. I have, when things are choppy and ranging, I'm risking less. I'm being more aggressive on taking profits, and I'm being more aggressive on moving my stops. Now, when we break out of those set ranges and we start trending, I'm risking more, and I'm also letting my plays run 5-10% before I take a TP1, only taking 35% off at that TP1, letting them run more. Whereas like when things are ranging, I'll take TP1 at like 2 or 3%. I'll move my stops up and I'll take 50% off. So for me personally, it comes down to understanding the environment that we're in. So right now, I know that things are absolutely cooked with news, with the tariffs, with everything. Like it looks terrible across the board. So I know that I'm not going to be risking more. When things improve, when we form out a bottom and we range and we break out from said range, it's like I know, okay, we're going to start trending. I can capitalize more, I can risk more, and that's going to bring home more money for me at the end of the day. But I think it just comes down for me to understanding the current environment that we're in and having kind of two different rule sets that you operate in, because there's two environments truly in trading: ranging, which is 80% of the time, or choppy low volume conditions, same thing, or trending. And so it is almost the 80-20 rule as well. Like you can make the bulk of all of your gains inside of the trending conditions if you have different rules, right? If you're taking those 2-3% TP1s and you're not sizing up more so in a trending environment, you're not going to capitalize on it. But if you do that and you execute that properly, you can make 80% of your profits in that 20% of trending periods, and then protect your capital and risk less and size down in those ranging conditions that happen 80% of the time. So for me personally, that's kind of how I approach it. Curious about you guys.
Well, for me, because I don't take a TP1 and TP2, I just take everything in a one shot. I don't size up at the beginning of a trade based on like an A+ setup or anything like that, but I will add to a trade. If it's going well and I think it's got room to run, I'll add to it. And that's, I guess, my version of sizing up.
When you say add to it, what do you mean?
Compound, put more money in.
I mean, at what price though? Higher, same price, lower? How do you handle
Say
that?
if I'm up like 10% and I think it's going to run, I will add more position to it. So now my entry price is now higher, but I feel like there is more to come. That's, I guess, my version of sizing up. I still stay right at, I don't have like A+ setups. I know some people will risk 2 or 3% on their A+ setups and 1% on a B setup and that sort of thing. I don't do that. I just risk the same. And maybe that's just I'm not the greatest trader out there, but for me, I'm comfortable adding to a position, but I'm not comfortable going in heavier based on a setup.
Yep,
If
no, that
that
makes
makes
sense.
I learned by adding. I think you'll get more out of it by not adding and just letting it run with what's left, especially if the times are good. When it comes to sizing up and sizing down, it really depends on my stop loss, and I'm still risking the same amount. Like I'm not losing more than X amount. But I will TP higher, and I'll just let the trade run longer or leave a little piece just in case. If the times look like we're trending up for a while, I'm not selling the whole position. I'll leave at least minimum 10% just to run. And then stops at break even, of course.
Yeah, for me personally, I just TP all at once works better for me. I've dabbled with it. I think that you're right. In the long run, it is more profitable to leave a runner. But I just mentally, it does something for me. It's my greed. I think I need to just be out of trades and moving on.
Yeah, I think it depends on the territory that we're playing in, right?
Yeah.
If we're choppy, I love that strategy, honestly. And I did it for a little while when we were super choppy, and I did really well. But then there's other times that we're just like, I think the worst month I had this whole year was the best month for everybody else. And everyone's seen it. I tried to short every single pump, but the trend was just so strong. And I think the last thing people want to talk about is risk management. It sounds boring, it's repetitive, but there's a reason why we talk about it. Because all of us, we've all been smoked by just oversizing, revenge trading. But it's a real thing, and you gotta have some fight left in the game just in case, you know. So don't go too crazy, and don't let yourself get too high or too low, because this market will make you feel like Superman, or it'll make you feel like you're a nobody within 30 seconds.
The market definitely will humble you. That it's its entire goal some days, I think.
It's funny too, because like you've seen Bitcoin just chopping around, goes up, then back down to the order block, chills there, up, and then all the alts, like Puffer, it's been going. Look, now down like 6% right into the order block, and that's probably where it's going to close, which is annoying because it's not going to give any direction.
What about you guys? What do you think, Mello? Cheddar or not cheddar? Taco.
Sorry, I got so lost in the chat.
Yeah, no worries.
I play my game ever since Cheddar's stream. I have been kind of following her mindset of doing the 3-to-1 because similar to Cheddar, I also have trouble with partials. It's much easier for me to sleep at night if I just say, here's a hard stop and here's, 3R, and if I take it, I take it. If not, I can still sleep knowing that. Versus if I have to sit there and monitor, trade, and try to, I don't look at the screen all day, not at charts at least. So it's much harder to play that game. But also, to Groot's point, I think the environment matters. In this environment, once the environment changes and we're trending up, I may start leaving runners. But until that point, I think aggressiveness pays right now.
That's a big thing I used to say. Aggression pays. I think last year, Dill, you remember that? I would just.
Yeah, that's where I got it from you.
I would be so friggin' aggressive, and nobody else was, but I would just, because I knew the trend. I mean, the bot. Well, when you get bot access, it gives you signals on what we're doing. You got to know what coins they trade against Bitcoin, with Bitcoin, stuff like that, and you always got to watch what Bitcoin's doing. Like, if you're trading and you're not basing every trade off of what Bitcoin's doing, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. What about you, Taco? What do you think? Or how do you know when to size up, size down?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I talked about taking profits super early, it's more of because that's the environment we've been in of recently, especially since I started taking stuff a little bit more seriously in the last few months. So back in the day, I used to let stuff run a lot further. So right now, I'll still move stops up to break even at like 1.5%, 2%, or even TP 50% at those. But back when everything on the market was super trendy, I would let things. You just change your rules based off the environment. So I'm pretty similar to you guys. So just taking a look at the larger time frames, especially on ETH if you're in alts, and then of course Bitcoin. So you always got to pay attention to the top two to kind of get a gauge of what the environment is, and especially if we're so prone to market manipulation and movement based off of just headlines or stuff that comes out of Trump's mouth. You can't go broke taking profits, right?
Yeah, 100%. And like it, yeah, go ahead, Cheddar.
Oh, I was going to say I found for my trading and my win rate, I actually could go broke taking profits, which is why I switched to the full TP strategy.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about trading is like every single person approaches it differently, and every single person has their own system. And the only way to figure out how that works is test, back test. And again, It all comes back to risk management, because if your risk management is bad while you're trying to put that system in place, understand your own emotions, understand everything we just talked about today. If your risk management is bad throughout that whole process, you're going to blow your whole account, or you're going to lose significant amounts, and you're never going to be able to do anything. Not never, but you're going to be so hindered when it actually comes down to you figuring out what works for you, that it's just backwards. That's why we're trying to harp so hard on the fact, because we've all gone through the process in the negative way, where we had to learn the hard way. We've gotten smoked. We've lost mass amounts of money. We've over risked. We've been liquidated. That's why we're trying to like impart all of this onto the people who may be in a position where they don't know proper risk management, or they're just learning how to use the bots as a new strategy, or learning how to trade in general. So it all comes back again, guys, to the risk management talk we had at the start, and risking a small amount. That is the only way you will reliably be able to build your own system out, understand what works and what doesn't, and also understand your own emotions. Like it doesn't come from anything except back testing and time in this market. This is not something you're going to learn about yourself and your own trading style in 6 months. It's just not. It's a long process. You have to survive throughout it. That's why risk management is so paramount. And it's going to take you a year and a half at least to start understanding some of the things that we're talking about. And that's fine, because we've all been through that process. And if you're dedicated to it, manage your risks and you will get there. You will figure it out. You will slowly build your own systems, your own way to take profits, set stops, move break even, all of that. So again, it all comes down to risk management. So I hope the talk we had today about risk management was super helpful for anyone listening. And again, like I said, I'm no expert. I've been trading for about 2.5 years. So even listening to how other traders approach things like we did today, I learned. I'm a student of the game every single day. So I think that's pretty good. We've been on for about an hour 15 minutes here. I want to see if anyone has any questions about anything we've spoken about today. Execution, emotions, risk management, the bots in general, just anything, just let us know. Now's the time.
People typing?
Yeah, a few people typing here. Let's see.
I don't know if I'm understanding Sauce God's question correctly here.
Yeah, so leverage doesn't actually matter, Sauce. It all comes down to position sizing. You can have the same position size with 100x or 10x leverage. It all comes down to the amount of margin you use. But again, watch that risk management video I sent, and you'll understand how to take a trade with the proper margin in terms of how much you're wanting to risk. And it isn't like you put $100 into the trade and you're willing to lose that $100. That's not how it works. That's not the proper way to look at it. Just watch the video on YouTube there, and you'll understand how like real traders and the people who do this for a living will actually position into a trade. It's not about putting $100 on the trade and then losing that $100. It's about sizing into a trade with the proper margin, where like when you take that stop on whatever leverage you're on, it's only 1% of your portfolio. That video though clearly outlines literally step-by-step process of how you do that and how you use the tools on TradingView to actually calculate that. So definitely just go and watch that there. The risk management has been really useful. I'm definitely going to resize, as well as I have definitely been guilty of getting carried away. Yeah, we all have, and like, again, I just want to thank the traders for coming up and being transparent and open about, emotions, past losses, the way they approach things, the mistakes they make, it's what it's all about. And that's why community, and this community specifically, is so strong and so important, is because this isn't fluff. This isn't bullshit. We're not here to just sell you snake oil, like, this is the God honest raw truth about trading. It's fucking hard. It can be lonely. It sucks. You're going to take big losses. There's a lot to learn. It's a long process. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but with a community like this, people willing to come up and share their experiences like we are today, and all of the traders coming up, these are the things that are going to help you along on your journey if you actually absorb them and you take them in and you apply it to your own trading, and you get active in the community, you ask questions, you become involved, you guys will be 10, 100 steps ahead of someone who's just trying to do this on their own, and they don't have these resources and these assets and everything that's involved and given to you guys inside of WoodsBot. So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming up and being transparent. It's not always easy to talk about the negatives of things, but it's important, and that's what we do here at WoodsBot. So I hope today has helped you guys understand more about emotions in general, risk management, just how different traders approach the market from different viewpoints. And again, if you guys have any questions that didn't necessarily get answered today, you can always ask them in the chats, general, gold chat, doesn't matter. We're always here to help. You can always tag me or anyone with bot expert. Yeah, we just want to see you guys succeed, and that's why we do these streams like we are today. So
Yeah, native leverage is something that's really hard to to understand if you just started trading on leverage. I know you cut the stream, Bill, but I just want to say, do we have any videos on that, or?
Yeah,
No,
we
that's
sent one in the
something-
chat.
Oh yeah. Sick.
But that goes over how leverage doesn't. Okay. For me to understand it took me a while. But you definitely shouldn't be using more than 10x. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna get you liquidated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but thank
for
you
beginners, there is a difference between isolated and cross margin, and that needs to be, kept in mind. I feel like people who use isolated don't understand cross because it's a completely different game, much more risky.
Yeah, I used cross once and very quickly realized I did not understand it as well as I thought I did, and never again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
use
nah.
cross now. I used to only. Oh, sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
No, you go, brother. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, I used to use isolated, and then once I got my risk management down pat, only then I started using cross, because once you understand how to, set the hard stop losses and not expose yourself any further, then you can use cross. But I feel like definitely great to get risk management down before anyone starts using cross. That's for sure.
Add to that with cross, I was having probably one of the best months. Just hitting everything perfectly. Just in chat, just killing the market. I set up some trades for the next block, put my limits in. I went outside for about 3 minutes, and I came back inside, and my profile was smoked. I didn't put stop losses, and it took 3 minutes. Because usually I'm sitting here, and I can toss them in as I go, blah, 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 but even after trading all this time, it took 3 minutes for the tariff thing to just smoke me, and I wasn't even inside to see it happen.
Those
So,
weeks worth of
definitely-
work, right?
Oh,
What is
ouch.
it?
Sorry, what were you saying?
All right, guys.
Mello, did you answer that, Mello? Sorry. How the difference between the two and how one works and how one doesn't?
Oh, I actually am not fit to explain because I don't know and I don't want to give someone the wrong information. The exact
So
mechanics
basically-
behind it, I'm not quite sure.
Isolated means you're risking that one trade. So if you trade on isolated and you get liquidated for that one trade. If you trade on cross and you get liquidated for your whole account. Is that a good way to describe? I'm not the best at communication.
Yes,
Better than I
that's
would
the
have.
danger.
Yeah, I think that covers it for sure.
Well, thank you for having me up here. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. I want to do more of these in the future, especially if you guys enjoyed it. I think the members enjoyed it. I think they're super valuable, and honestly, it's good to just talk to other traders about different shit like this. So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming up and being transparent and open. I want to thank everyone also for joining in, asking questions, being involved. We do this for you guys, so yeah, just thank you guys again.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day here and a good weekend. And yeah, we'll look to do more of these in the future. So again, any questions you have, just let us know in the chats and stuff. And yeah, other than that, everyone have a good day. I'll talk to you guys later.
Later, guys.
Yeah, later.